We want to welcome everybody here to the Mr. Insurance Podcast. Today we have special guests on here. One of the guys that has joined together with my company, myself. He actually has his company. He's one of the partners of Select Insurance Group, Austin Tucker. So welcome. Appreciate having you on here, man.
Thanks for having me on, brother.
Yeah, appreciate you coming out here and stuff. I know we had done some rescheduling, and I certainly appreciate that. I just kind of getting right into it. So the person that kind of is actually responsible for, like, in a roundabout way, for me knowing a bunch of the different various people, including, Joey, who is the creative director and,
Right.
who does a lot of the behind the scenes stuff here for me, was Matt. So and Matt's like the OG, and he's actually coming on here in a couple weeks. Love me some Matt.
Yeah, love Matt and
Our kids
Christy,
go to
man.
school together. We went to the meet the parents night,
Mm-hmm.
and all of a sudden I get like something like hits me in the back of the head, like a pencil or something like that. He threw something at me. And I turn around like ready to kill somebody, right? And it's Matt, standing back there. And I'm
Yeah.
like, what are you doing here? He's like, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
So, but tell me a little bit. I know that like you have yourself a podcast,
Mhm.
from like what I've looked at and everything.
Yeah.
And you're married and have a
Yeah.
couple kids.
Yeah.
I got 3 that I know of,
Yeah.
and married for the second time. Second time was a charm. So, but tell me a little bit about yourself, just like kind of like how you got into the insurance industry, what it is that, just tell me a little bit about yourself, like some of your background, your history.
Yeah. So, man, getting into the insurance industry originally, I came from personal training, working out, that side of things. So did personal training and, the sales aspect and got into management on that side and loved it. But, with a family, it wasn't a good fit because those hours are crazy. You have to work around everyone else's schedule. So everyone that works a 9 to 5 or 10 to 6 schedule, you're training them early mornings before they go into work or when they get off. So when my wife and I decided to have kids, I just had to make a change. So got introduced to the insurance industry, started on the life and health side of things.
Mhm.
Hated it. Absolutely hated it.
Ditto. Yeah. I actually had started myself in that.
Yeah.
Actually, the reason why I have that nickname of the Mr. Insurance, it was like the insurance man or Mr. Insurance or Mr. Steve or that kind of thing, once I was a debit agent. So I would like go into usually pretty rough areas, and I would collect cash for the person's life insurance premium. And they all knew that when you came in there, it was like you were the insurance man. You were there for a reason, but they'd be like, okay, when you show up, like run to the door, don't look back. And then they'd be like sitting there like a lot of times.
A lot of cash, I'm
Yeah,
sure, man.
well, that
a
too.
backpack full of cash. Or...
That's actually the last day that I was actually robbed at Palm and St. Louis Avenue, and stripped down, butt naked. I had a gun put to the back of my head, stole all the money out of my pocket, that I had collected for insurance premiums, took all my clothes. I thought I was going to die.
That's crazy.
They had a gun to the back of my head. So, I'm sure I'm
Yeah,
like
you were
running.
done after that.
I'm like playing like Frogger, like going over like Natural Bridge. There was like a gas station over there. I just didn't miss it, man. It was a good start, and it taught me some really good, hustle type. It grounds you for sure. It makes you get creative. But I hated it. I hated every bit of it. And then I had a buddy of mine that was like doing really, really well, and he had started in that business, and then he converted over to health insurance. And this was back. I don't know if how old are you?
27.
27. So you're young. Okay. So I say that I'm 42. Like I'm like, yeah, I'm like starting to get all gray hairs now and everything. So, but back in the day they had NACE, or National Association for the Self-Employed, and they were smaller, I'm going to call them like boutique health insurance plans. And these were like really effective if you sold them for kind of what it was. The problem was nobody sold it for really what it was.
Mm-hmm.
You had these health insurance plans that were for the self-employed. It was a great marketing tactic and everything. We went and we sold a ton all over the place. We were all over the Lake of the Ozarks.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I was traveling all over the place and everything, met so many cool people. But, again, it was just like, I mean, I remember being out there on some of these roads. Like I remember being, in two places. There was Cadet, Missouri, and my truck, I'm like going down this, what I thought was supposed to be this road to this place, like way back in the Blair Witch, back in the middle of nowhere.
Some sketchy spot.
Oh, it was sketchy. And you're like in the meth capital of the world down there too, right? So you don't know what you're running into. So my car runs off the road, like it bottoms out over on the dirt path over there. And I, get out and start walking. And, I come across finally, there's a trailer that's back there. And I go and I knock on the door and people are like, well, we don't see people around here, and I'm like, man, my truck, it bottomed out. He was like, what the hell are you doing back there?
Right,
and then this little smart ass kid on the side, he was like, yeah, nobody goes down there. You're an idiot, but I didn't know where I was going or what I was doing. And I just knew I was there to sell some insurance, and that was it. But these were people that like they would do anything for you. They were good, like down home Southern people that they would literally do anything for you. And like I still talk to quite a few of those clients today. Cool. That was one of the highlights, I would say, of that. And I got out of the health insurance business right when the Obamacare stuff kind of started coming out, and sold the business. Decided it was going to be a good idea to self-finance to the person that bought the business. Well, it wasn't. So basically, the guy, in a sense, he claimed bankruptcy, and with all that went my entire book of business. I wasn't able to get it back. I mean, it went with the estate. And so, it was what it was when we tried to revive some things and everything else. But, when your spending goes from, like your income and as you're earning, it's way up here. And then all of a sudden it's not existent at all. I was spending just as fast as I was making it, and learning those things. But yeah, I got in really, really early into the business. I got in at 18 years old.
Jeez.
Yeah, it was after a, kind of near fatal car accident, and got into the business, and it was just, I always knew I could sell, and, but anyway, I'm not here for me to talk about me. Talk to me more about yourself.
Yeah. So, getting into the insurance industry started with the life and health, and was just awful, man. I hated it. It just wasn't fun. I didn't enjoy talking about the products, nothing like that. So, finally found my way to State Farm, and was on the captive side. And they have an incredible platform as far as like learning their, really just learning PNC.
Yeah.
And then from there, I was like, captive is not where I want to be.
Yeah.
I got to get out of this. Loved it.
I don't think it's like what it used to be 20 years ago with being captive at all. You want to put that closer to yourself too. Just because
it's not near as lucrative.
Yeah, it was the captive business. I should say, like I had a small stint with Allstate. So I kind of know like where you're coming out with that. But anyway, continue what you were saying.
Yeah. So jumping in the State Farm and was there for like a year. And it was good to learn because it gave me a good start to the PNC side. And I was like, I can do this on the independent side.
Yeah.
For sure. And I heard how good the independent side was.
Yeah.
So took the jump and love it, man. From there, got into the trucking insurance through some people through, actually, Joe.
Yeah.
So,
hey, here's another one that kind of again, all this is like all connected.
Yeah, met Joe
together with that. Campers are good people, man. I like
yeah,
I like
so they got me really like introduced to the trucking side, and of course Matt Evans, right? So we became business partners and starting to do things together, him and Christy. And they're like, you guys check out the trucking, check it out. And of course, when you look at it from a sale perspective, one close on the trucking side is 100 policies
Yeah.
on the standard side. You know
Yeah.
what I
Yeah.
mean? So it was like, it just made sense.
Yeah.
And it was tough to learn because there's so many different parts to it, because you get into the filing side and working with the DOT, and going through like safety scores and understanding that side of the business.
Well, it's
But
all about
man,
the niche, man. I mean, it
it's
really is.
incredible.
When you specialize at something, people, they know you for what you're specializing in.
Hmm.
It's like if you're a Jack or Jill of all trades, you're not really like a standout
Yeah, you're gonna
among
be
other people.
average, right?
So, I mean, I know that trucking industry, I know that they've been wildly successful with that, and you guys as well. I know you guys have killed it. I remember one thing. So, like when Matt came to me and he was like, "Hey, I've got this guy. He would be great for your marketing program, and he would be an excellent partner with putting all
Hmm.
this together here for us." And he just was like, "This guy's an animal on the phone. Like he
Dial,
just."
man.
I mean, it's
Dials,
hard to
man.
find, believe it or not. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Smile and dial, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what, yeah, every day, man.
But the system that we use, it's meant to be calculated. So I originally I started this system. So after my health insurance stint and after everything was kind of lost, I tried to take the last remaining money that I had to be able to invest into a warranty company, an auto warranty company, because I had
Hmm.
seen all these guys, they were making like crazy money. This was
Yeah.
back in the days of like US Fidelis and, like the big ones, you know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like kind of the original godfathers of that
Yeah,
industry.
that
They
space.
were just, everybody kind of just spiraled out from there. And you got some other big ones here. And St. Louis kind of became that hub
Hmm.
for the births of these different various
So
spinoffs.
many of them are popping up now. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Well, yeah. So, we, I had looked to get into that industry, and I had a couple of guys that wanted me to invest into that, and I did originally. I looked at trying to be able to invest into that company, and it was like literally the last that I had. We made like incredible money,
Hmm.
but I hated every minute of it. I would come to
Mm.
work and I would see like, the guys at their desk, like stumbling in, hungover. I had one guy that was like cooking a breakfast sandwich with like a Foreman grill at his desk. And so, I got another guy that's like doing lines off of his freaking,
Mm.
of his briefcase.
Hmm.
Um, and I'm looking, I'm just like, it was such a just an industry that I didn't know that I really wanted to be affiliated with,
Right.
and the money was great. And I remember when I went to these guys and I was just like, "Hey, I just need my money back. Just buy me out. It's fine. I don't need anything more than that.
Yeah.
My original investment, just buy me out." And he was like, "You're gonna regret this. You're gonna regret this in a big way."
Hmm.
He said, "This, is gonna become." A seven figure type of opportunity here. And I was like, yeah, I can't really
Can't be around it
sacrifice.
though. Yeah.
Well, I can't sacrifice, who I am and what I want to stand for, just over money, because,
Right.
money will come no matter what you do. No matter
Hmm.
if you continue to keep working hard, money will eventually come to you.
Yeah.
And you can't sacrifice your integrity and you can't sacrifice your morals to be able to try and rise up. That's where people go wrong. That's the
Hmm.
reason they take the wrong turn in the road and they make the bad choice, because they try to go for the quick cash, but you're sacrificing everything else for it.
Yeah.
Quick cash doesn't last.
Right.
It doesn't last at all. But one of the things that I took from this was I noticed, man, this phone just rang like crazy and it was nonstop. Like the
Hmm.
phones just inbound calls, everything else. And I was like, kind of like the captive side. You're like,
Yeah.
man, I could take that and I could apply that to insurance and like get these guys where they just had nonstop calls and leads and everything else, and I could take care of the heavy lifting around it.
Yeah.
Wow, what a great system I could be able to build. So that's exactly what I did. And I took everything that I had, and I didn't have much, but I took everything that I had, and I walked in to my office at the time. We had started a new office and everything. And we were all doing health and life again.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, hey, we're going to sell this SR22 stuff. I literally had everybody get up and walk out of my office.
Yeah.
Everyone. And
huge change.
yeah, my sister at the time, it was like my secretary, it was like, your family's there for you no matter what.
Yeah.
And my sister was the last standing. Like, she was the only one. She was just like, well, whatever you're going to do, I'm going to support you, and
that's cool.
And, she just, she hung with me with that. But then we started doing, I started doing really, really well because it was originally just me.
Yeah.
Then I started bringing in some agents and train them and showing them how to be able to do what we do.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, a lot of people don't understand that. They look at that stuff as high risk insurance. I don't look at it as high risk. I look at it as a calculated risk insurance, because you have that SR22 that stands behind that. It's an instant retention builder. So if that person quits paying, the state cancels their license.
Mm-hmm.
So they always have somebody that's walking behind them waiting for them to slip up.
Mm-hmm.
And, we try and be able to help to make sure they avoid that as well. But yeah, I mean, and then it turned into a great business. And then it kind of, in different various things that have happened, COVID was a big change, and starting seeing some of the other things that we would write business for and everything else. But ultimately the system and the structure of what we set up is, talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah. Well, that's what I love about partnering with you, because, obviously on the trucking side, it's different because it's like, it's a longer process, right? Usually when someone gets set up, they at least have, at the minimum, probably a 21-day period before you're actually going to get them started on their policy. Now, with your program, to be able to bring all of that together, I mean, it's going to well round the book, or it is well rounding the book, because now we're able to diversify more, I should say, our business, because now we have these calls coming in that are like, you turn on the queue and they're flying in, which is great. On the trucking side, it's all outbound.
You haven't seen really nothing yet either.
It's crazy, man. I love what you guys have built. I mean, it's awesome for sure.
We have this thing we call the Hoosier Holidays. Okay. So the Hoosier Holidays is anything relating to drinking. Mm-hmm. And it's generally like a little bit of a dip in business during that time. So think of like Memorial Day, Labor Day.
Yeah.
Anything again that you get, New Year's Eve, Halloween, all this stuff. And it's always a dip with that during that time. But then after that, it's like a big rebound, because it's like now that's where everybody, like, they got in trouble during that time.
They slipped up. Yeah.
Yep. And then they end up going in that. The reoffender rate too is unbelievable. It's like you'll find that usually somebody that has one will generally get 2 DUIs. And 2 is almost guaranteed to get 3. Especially these days, they've really, really tightened down. It's not the old days of like, don't let me catch you on the road and drive home, and or I'm gonna call somebody and have them drive you home. Like, there's still good police officers out there that'll do that, but very few and far between. So it's a revenue maker for the state too. You got to remember that.
Yeah.
So that's. I was looking at things like weren't going to go out of style, right? Mm-hmm. So people's fixations, drugs and alcohol and stuff, it's never going to go out of style. And it's always going to be something that affects that. And as the insurance market was changing, I looked at some of the metrics, and I looked at all these different various companies, right? All these major brands like Farmers Insurance. They bought Foremost, Bristol West.
Right.
You had, you had that, the State Farm. They ended up buying Gainsco.
Yeah.
You had Allstate that bought National General. And you see all this, and why? They go to that non-standard. Well, it's a game of pass the trash in a sense, right? Because these companies, what they want to do is they want to please their shareholders. They want to say, okay, hey, we're going to take all the good ones, we're going to put them under the main company,
Yeah.
and then we're going to pass the trash over to the next one. So the person that maybe would have barely qualified to maybe be in, let's just say, that Allstate plan is now no longer a fit for that, and they get non-renewed or whatever. But that happens to be the best customer for us. So we got like prime picking
Yeah.
from that. And then now we have a product to be able to put them into. What that's done also is it's, obviously boosted production, but it was an opportunity there because insurance companies have gone to this whole AI thing and they've become very, very calculated. And they can literally, it's almost scary how they can tell you how that person's going to perform, like to an age, a gender, a zip code. I mean, all these different factors in there, right? And they can tell that how that person's going to perform, and then they can calculate a risk based on that.
Yeah.
And they can't seem to really wrangle the troublemakers, right? So that kind of applied to the same thing with, what I'm now calling the bad boys and their toys. You can't really wrangle the whole like person that has the exotic car, the person that has, a Hummer, that or like a AM General or whatever. That
military grade
Yeah.
vehicle. Yeah, that stuff's crazy.
Like I've seen, stuff that's put together with toothpicks and bubble gum, for the love of God,
Yeah.
I insured the mystery machine, right? Yeah, I get this like GM van or this Dodge van, and I was like, how is this thing worth like $100,000?
Yeah, and I saw that the Oscar Mayer.
Oh yeah, that was like it was like a kit car. It was like a Cadillac.
Yeah.
Right. So it was a kit car, but I'm like, how do I come up with it was a nostalgic vehicle. So it was more, again, a collector type of vehicle, but like some of the personalities of these people that collect this, I really want to believe that they have more money than sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, if I'm like making more money and I know what to do with, I'm not being like, hey, I'm gonna like go search out where to find an Oscar Mayer vehicle or whatever to like stick out on my freaking front porch.
Yeah.
I don't even think that thing will fit in the garage, right? But anyway, yeah, like I said, we've come across so many different personalities. And then we found these street legal UTVs. Man, this was like the direct artery to the heartstrings of every customer that, again, in many cases, more money than sense. And some of it's like this whole community of different various people. And it's so cool to see this stuff. And then like, I realized this as I was in the Lake of the Ozarks during COVID. And I was coving out and I'm looking around and I'm like, man, these people like really they're living life out here. Like they're not really
affected by what's going on.
Well, nothing really was affected out of the Ozarks. Like it was kind of like,
right. Yeah.
The Walking Dead, like the safe lands or whatever, like the safe community, keep all the zombies out. It was, I mean, like I've said it multiple different times on different podcasts of like, there's somewhere where my boat is sitting out in front of Backwater Jacks and they have this helicopter that's literally this dude like standing out of the side of the or like he's like hanging off the side of the helicopter and they're like, look at this disgrace. This is COVID soup. And I was like, you apparently have not been to the Ozarks because there has been way too much alcohol consumed for anybody to hold any kind of disease. Maybe an STD, like, is what you need to be worrying about. But, like, yeah, I mean, at least from, like, the waist up, like, I mean, people were, and they hadn't left the pool, you know what I mean? So, like, it's not COVID soup, it's urine soup is probably what it was. Yeah. But anyhow, yeah, it's good times at the lake. But anyhow, so continue on. I'm sorry, I keep, like, taking over here.
No, you're totally fine. But, I love the fact of, bringing in the SR22 stuff. It's been awesome. That's during the downtime of the day where we're working on quotes because that's the biggest thing that that consumes time on the trucking side, putting together the accord forms and stuff like that to send off for various risks. But, during that time, while, we're not dialing, to have those calls coming in is huge,
Yeah.
absolute game changer. Right. And then the fact that you figured out how to get to pay every single week is
Hmm.
huge, because that's another big piece that people struggle with the PNC side. Like, get paid once a month,
Yeah.
right? It's so tough. So transitioning from the captive to the independent side, that's the biggest struggle I think a lot of people are, going through. And the fact that you've been able to solve that, it's huge.
Well, I looked at it from somewhat of a selfish perspective of like the things that I didn't have and the things that I wanted. I don't know how many different lead companies that I've gone through, different people I've paid to market me that,
Hmm.
have told me I'm going to have this or that or whatever, promise me gold and I get fool's gold.
Right.
And the thing is I took matters into my own hands. I created a system to where it's intended to be a rapid fire system.
Hmm.
And like I said, you haven't really seen it in its full
I'm excited
force, and
for it, man.
you pack your Xanax.
Eh.
Yeah, there's you right. You be careful what you wish for. But we literally like there are times where our phone will ring so hard to where we don't have enough agents,
Hmm.
and we're looking for good people like yourself to be able to partner with, so that we can be able to provide them those resources that I didn't have, that I had to learn. And so we created our own lead system to where it was rapid fire. The person knew exactly why they were calling, what exactly they were getting. They, in many cases, knew, the name of the agent that they were contacting. Then we had our system, like where we could be able to, in this business, in the high risk auto business, you charge fees, right?
Right.
In some states, you can't do that. So we sell additional ancillary products to kind of, what I'm going to say, like keep everything on the up and up and keep everything legal.
Hmm.
And you obviously you have to give opt outs and things like that if a person doesn't want it. But, we've been able to do that, and we can guarantee that, hey, we'll take care of paying these fees because we get these within days.
Hmm.
So now we can take that down to a weekly basis, and we can be able to provide a person an opportunity to have those rapid fire leads that you're getting paid on a weekly basis on things. And then at the end of the month, I always call it like my beer money and then my like serious money,
Uh-huh.
and that is, at the end of the month, then you have the bigger checks that come through when everything all surrounding that is going to be handling the heavy lifting. So a lot of people, they struggle with, they might be an awesome agent, but maybe they're not great when it comes to customer service. So we solve that picture. We have, them pay per policy to gain access to our customer service, our staff, handle and put out the fires for you.
Hmm.
We have a person that calls and says, hey, um, I work for Austin, and, welcome to the family over here. And, we're going to we go through the application, make sure everything looks right and tight. And then from that point, they direct that customer into the customer service, and we call them red carpet rollers, right?
Hmm.
So they're going to roll that red carpet out for the customer, give them a different experience than they've ever had, the best experience. And then obviously if they need something from you, but they can call, but that keeps you in front of selling
Right.
and making money and doing what you need to be able to do. And then the people that are paid to take care of that person, that's where they're directed to. Now, if they need something again, they can contact you or
Right.
whatever, but they'll say like, call us first. We do that. If the person has, a renewal, cancellation or whatever, we've got another person that goes in there to follow up with that to make sure, hey, I work for Austin, and he is, we noticed that, you received an SR 26, right?
Hmm.
Which is the state trying to cancel your license. And we wanted to get out ahead of it. Austin asked for me to give you a call and, see if we can be able to resolve it before it goes to the final cancellation and the clock resets.
Right.
We don't want to see that happen to you. Call us, we'll get it taken care of. And we came up with that whole system, but it was really about helping people, man.
Hmm.
A lot of these people, you're helping them at like many times, like you're that final piece, that final domino to fall to getting their life back on track.
Hmm.
And that system, I was a victim of that system. I stayed a part of that system for many years, and I got in trouble with a lot of things, drinking and driving. I got,
Hmm.
multiple DUIs, and not proud to say that. And, but I stayed a part of the system exactly
Hmm.
because you're paying in, you're paying all their people to court fees
It's
and
not cheap, man.
no. And especially nowadays or
Hmm.
whatever. I mean, like, one DUI can cost you $10,000 and different various things.
Hmm.
In fact, at like the classes they send you to, they have this victim impact panel
Hmm.
they send you to. They sit you in a classroom and they play videos of all these people that they have been affected by people that have, drank and drove
Hmm.
and if like maybe killed a family member or, they had this person on there that had been like basically burned to death almost.
Sheesh.
And they were unrecognizable. Obviously, like extreme cases, not that it makes the weight any less on here. But they're sitting you like showing you like what your actions could have caused,
Hmm.
make you feel like total crap.
Yeah.
And then then they kind of get into like a fun thing, whatever. Like there was the weekend one that I had to go to. I had to like
Hmm.
stay in a hotel with like dormed with a bunch of convicts, you know,
Sheesh.
and and then like they say like, what could you have done with this money that you spent with this,
Yeah.
and that really gets you thinking, and like how much did this alcohol cost you, and
Hmm.
like what could you have spent here, what kind of vacation could you have taken, and it is an eye opener. But I don't know. I mean, in this whole thing, I found like the Mothers Against Drunk Driving and like their cause and what they support. It was something that I became very much a fan of
Hmm.
and wildly support. I made the initial bad move on here that I was going to provide at these victim impact panels for sponsoring the Mothers Against Drunk Driving. I was going to give them koozie cups.
Hmm.
Not a good thing to bring to the
Yeah. Yeah.
table when you're right.
Yeah. When you're trying to get guys that, yeah,
Yeah, well, you
get
got
them
like a
out of that.
DUI class, like,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
why don't I just bring in some
Yeah.
koozies? Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Hold their beer,
Right.
right? Yeah. What an idiot. Anyhow, so I could tell you on stories and stories. Like I had like my kids' soccer team, I freaking sponsored them, and it's like on the back of their jerseys, like busted for a DUI,
Oh gosh.
and then I'm like, I'm a complete moron over here. Like I had to like go get them all like pennies and
Yeah.
freaking, and then like get them new shirts and stuff, with that. But anyhow, yeah. But it's
Yeah.
been a wildly successful business,
Hmm.
and it's something that is like I said, it was near and dear to me, and we've really expanded upon that in a lot of ways to be able to expand into some additional categories.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't know. I got a bunch of friends that are in that life and health, man, and I can't ever go back to it.
Yeah.
I
I
don't
know.
want nothing to
Mhm.
do with it. It's like a
Nothing
person
at
comes
all,
in, they'd be
man.
like, "Do you do health insurance?" No,
Yeah.
like
Yeah. I don't want any
you
part of
try and
that.
pass it along, and these guys they love it, but I'm like, nah, I can't do it, man.
Yeah. Luckily,
It's
there's plenty of people out there who can pass it along too. But yeah, I don't want any part of the life and health space, to be
yeah,
honest.
yeah. There's
Yeah.
so tell me, like about your family and like what kind of things you guys do for fun, and tell me a little bit about maybe
Yeah.
something that people don't know about Austin.
Oh man. Well, number one, man, Christ follower. But yeah, I'm married to my beautiful wife Megan, and we got our two boys, Teddy and Benny. And oldest he's 3, that's Teddy, and then the youngest, he's about to turn 1 in a couple of weeks here. So man, it's just been it's
So
been
young,
cool. Yeah, they're young.
young,
So we're we're in that grind mode, you're just like trying to survive, those
yeah,
rough nights and trying to potty train and yeah.
for sure.
So those are the tough times, but they're fun, man.
People say
They're
that
really fun.
like that you'll miss that.
Mhm.
I've yet to feel that way after all that. In fact,
Yeah.
like we,
And how old are
oh,
your kids?
I've got a 16-year-old daughter. I've got a 12-year-old and a 10-year-old boys.
Okay.
So Jack, Chase, and Maddie. They're all the three that I know of. But great kids. Like Maddie's such a different kid. We were more of a blended family. When I met Angie, Maddie was like 2 years old
Okay.
and like literally in diapers. And we eventually I talk to her, I joke with her, but there's so much truth to it when I say it. I tell her I like when she was 5, I put her on payroll.
Yeah.
I adopted her, right? And a lot of people don't understand, and I will never understand dads and like not enjoying that opportunity for fatherhood. And I looked to my wife like she was so strong with handling everything. The dad was he was just non-existent. At least he wasn't conflicting, but he was just non-existent. It was like a lot of dads that are out there, and I'm sure there's deadbeat mothers and things too. This guy just did not want to be a dad.
It's so crazy, man. Well, first I want to honor you for stepping in and
Well,
doing
thank you.
that,
I
dude. That's
appreciate
awesome.
that. That was an honor for me.
Yeah.
She's a great kid. We just went to, speaking of honor, we went to like the National Honor Society. I am like the poster child for like bad kids in like school and stuff. Like when they're like National Honor Society and like, you're going, like you've been invited to the National Honor Society for your daughter. I'm like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
But I said to my wife, I'm like, take it all in because the next two, I participated, right? Ain't going to happen. So enjoy the moment now as it is. But, I was just like, and at her ceremony, they had her, like, my wife's maiden name is Walters, right? So they had Maddie Walters Ludwig, right? And they had it hyphenated. Well, they had her down also as Maddie Ludwig and Maddie Walters. So they had her listed like 3 times to come down. And
she got honored 3 times.
she's like texting us like, well, what do I do? And so on a group text, I'm like an idiot over there. My wife's like sitting here hitting me, being like, shut up. Like, just don't even respond. Like, be an adult, and I'm like sending her, Bob Barker, like, come on down, and so I'm like, just go down there, get another ring, man. That's go through it again, right?
Yeah, stack them up,
right? Take them for your brothers.
Yeah, take them for the brothers. Yeah,
right. So, I don't know. I really enjoy it. Maddie's a different kid than my boys. Maddie enjoys school. She's very good at school. She's like honor roll student. She's, a big follower in her faith. And I couldn't have asked for a better kid, man. I mean, I've been blessed in a lot of ways, but Maddie didn't let me get away with any bullshit.
Yeah.
I mean, I can remember I was trucking around the other day. We have a car rental business as well. And we provide like car seats for people that need an extra car seat or something like that.
Traveling or something.
Yeah. Well, I'm driving around with like 3 car seats in the back, and I'm like looking in the back there, and I'm thinking about her in the back with what she used to call her whip glosses, and it's her lip glosses. And I used to, I was trying to like buy my kids love at one point in time. So I went and I got her like this whole assortment pack of lip gloss, and she's sitting in there in the back, and she's putting it all over her face and everything else back there and stuff. And I do miss those days. Honestly, I do. But, yeah, she wouldn't let me get away with any of the bullshit, man. She didn't care. She wanted my time and my attention. She didn't care about what
That's what it's about, man.
Had to offer.
Yeah.
So
they could care less about, what kind of type of money you make or anything like that, man. They just want your time.
Being a dad it's taught me so many different lessons, and it's grounded me in a lot of ways.
You slow down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So like, I mean, what do you guys do? I've seen some of the stuff like out on social media and that kind of thing. When you find time to do all this stuff?
Oh man.
Does your wife also, does she work as well, or does she handle things at home?
Yeah, she handles things at home.
We all need that. Like, we really do.
Yeah, it's huge help. So that's just a recent transition for us, which has just been incredible.
Yeah.
But yeah, we love to just, I mean, there's so many different parks around here, you know. St. Charles County is just incredible for like different parks. So I love going to different places with my kids and spending time with them, man, because that's what it's really about. And not getting too tied up in, work.
Yeah.
Of course, you have to set time aside for work, right? And they need to see that, um, that you have that work ethic and, can instill that in them. But, at the end of the day, man, it's about what time you spend with your family and that quality of that time. Like, are you present during that time? Because, this business, it can consume you, man.
Oh, you're telling me.
Yeah.
I know.
It can consume you. And it's taking a step back and making sure there's scheduled time. Um,
I'll never
every single day. I mean, I give my kids 30 minutes of undivided attention every single night when I get home. Doesn't matter what time I get home, but that's got to be done. So that's definitely been a huge part of, being a dad, man, giving them that time they deserve.
One of the things that, so like, we go to, we have like any different marital problems than anybody else, but like we go to, our pastor and counselor and things like that to try and come together as a couple in marriage and kind of learn about each other and where we can be able to pick up with, each other's weaknesses
That's awesome.
and highlight each other's strong points. And, I always say that I'm like an A+ in business and I'm like a C- in parenting.
Mm-hmm.
My wife has more patience than me for sure. But I started like literally penciling them into my schedule.
Mm-hmm.
And I started doing that because it forced me to line item that time out
Mm-hmm.
and to spend time with each one of them. While I would like to do a lot more, that at least it's calculated. And
Right.
that way that they at least know that like I'm trying to be able to do that because like you were saying, it will consume you.
Yeah.
I also have this rule that I turn my phone off usually at about like about 8 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
I've had to do that because otherwise I'm just working
Yeah.
and just
Nonstop,
never
man.
nonstop. As you saw me in here, my phone's
Yeah.
been buzzing like, some kind of
Yeah.
it's just,
Like I said, I know I'm busy and I got my phone's blown up, so I can only imagine how much
yeah,
much
that's
yours
what's
is, man.
mine's.
I'm
Let's
I'm
see
not there
here.
yet,
Yeah,
man.
let's take a look over here. How many I've missed on here? So these are all the
Yeah,
messages that
communications,
I'm
yeah.
missing here as I'm going through with this stuff.
Mhm.
But it's you have to put it in perspective and just say, okay, if I didn't have a phone and I couldn't be reached, they would have to figure it out. And a lot of
Mhm.
times people will figure things out
Yeah.
on their own. Um, and the time management aspect of it, like it really, when you start scheduling your time and you start really, really putting that in play and become effective with that, um, things like they really start falling in place there. And you have to make room for time together, to with your family and, time to pray and, to come together again as a family.
Mhm.
We've created where during the holidays, during the Thanksgiving holiday, we will go to, we have a place in Panama City Beach, right? So
Mhm.
we will go to the Panama City Beach property during that. It used to be where it would be the Lake of the Ozarks. We would
Yeah.
go down there for a week and Black Friday would hit and we would go to the outlet malls, like the one
Mhm.
store that's left over at
Right.
at the Ozarks. It used to be
Yeah.
hopping, but now
Yeah,
it's
it
like
was hopping at one point.
Polo and uh freaking Under Armour,
Yeah.
right? And that's really it. And but that's different down in Florida. It's a little bit more like there's more stuff open for sure.
Right.
But we get a chance to spend time with the kids, and we recently started this additional trip during Christmas time. So like this past year, we took the kids. We had a bunch of flight credits,
Mhm.
and like we had a vacation that had been like it was credited back to us, like it
Mhm.
was like under the trip insurance thing.
Yeah.
So we had all that, and then I had like a bunch of flight credit time for the kids and everything else. And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna put all this together
Mhm.
and
Have a
use
good
this, and we're
time.
gonna create this thing for a family vacation that was a destination, you know, and like, so we got on the passports and the whole thing. We went out of the country
Yeah.
and we ended up having just an amazing time, you know, and we went to
That's awesome.
Cancun, Mexico. And, man,
That's
I
cool.
like, there was, so I'm big into like, when I go there, man, like I literally just, I, I am trying to just relax and like
Yeah.
not have
Disconnect.
anything. So I was like, unless the place is burning down, don't call me.
Yeah.
Don't contact me, force me with that. Because
Mm-hmm.
at one point in time, my wife threw my cell phone in the ocean
Wow.
because she's like, I'm sick of you being on this thing or
Yeah.
whatever. Pay some attention to me.
Yeah.
Chucked the phone out into the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, and then I was forced, and not that it was
Yeah.
a bad thing, but like, you know, I had to replace the phone and all that. But no, I went down there and then, you know, you have these people that like approach you on the beach, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and it really goes to show like the elevator speech, right? You
Mm-hmm.
know, like you
Yeah.
see these people and you're like, man, you know, I've never really thought about
Yeah.
that approach. That's pretty cool. Um, there's some hustlers out
Yeah.
there.
Closing somebody on some jewelry on the beach. You
Yeah.
know?
Well, so like they were down taking, you know, some pictures for the gram,
Mm-hmm.
and my son and I were sitting there and like I burn in the moonlight. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So like
I don't have that problem.
I got like this like freaking I've like combined all of these umbrellas together
Mm-hmm.
to make like a hut almost
Yeah.
over us, right? It was like a ghetto cabana.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we're sitting there and this person comes by and she's in like this like the nurse's outfit or whatever and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. And she was like, hey, 60-minute massage for $60.
Oh gosh.
And I don't know why. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
So she's like, okay, you come with me, you
Uh-huh.
know? And I was like, I said to Jack, I was like, if I don't come back, I was like, I love you, son. You know, I was taking, other than like, you know, some cash and everything else.
Mhm.
And I was just like, here, take this with you. And I'm like taking my jewelry off and stuff,
Mhm.
giving it to him. And we went to this, I followed this lady over to this sketchy ass hut.
Yeah.
And it would like, then we like went upstairs and there's this patio on the back and there was like 4 beds that are lined up and there's 3 dudes that are on the bed.
Mhm.
Right. And I'm walking out, I'm like, oh dude, what am I walking
What did I
into over
sign
here?
up
What
for?
in the hell,
Uh-huh.
you know, kind of sweatshop is this over
Yeah.
here? It was literally the best massage I ever had in my life. This lady, she was getting up, there was like poles over the top of it.
Uh-huh.
And she's getting there like this little ass chick. She's like up there swinging on the bars and freaking just rubbing down on my back, cracking
Uh-huh.
my back and stuff. And I'm just like, I couldn't get enough of it.
Yeah.
Man, it was awesome. So I'm like, can we go another 30 minutes? You
Yeah.
know, and you know, she said no, but it really it showed me that, you know, not everything is as it maybe appears, you
Mhm.
know, and then they were just, you know, a business, and these people were out literally hustling for their business.
Yeah.
They didn't have any appointments and they were out generating leads for themselves
Mhm. Get
to,
it done.
you know, to make it happen. And, you know, like to go and we did do like a massage at the resort,
Mhm.
but it was like, you know, $60 compared to like $500,
Yeah.
you know, compared on that. Now, I didn't get like all the aromatherapy and stuff like that
Yeah.
and all that, but I would argue to tell you that that was a better massage
Mhm.
than anything. And man, I mean, like the breeze blowing back there is just amazing.
Mhm.
It really was. So we're
That's cool, man.
we're supposed to be going down to Panama City to do another investment and close. Like we got to get boots on the ground here
Mhm.
coming up this next weekend. And man, I'm telling you, like it's just nonstop. It's never ending. Like but it
Mhm.
keeps it fun. It keeps it interesting. I don't know what I would do if I didn't have it.
Yeah.
You know, it keeps you in tune and your mind right, you know?
Yeah. I mean, getting into, running a business is completely different, like leaving the captive side and really just, branching out onto the independent side. I mean, it's whatever you want to make of it.
So tell me a little bit, like with working with Matt and everything. How is that experience? I'm gonna put you on the spot a little bit with
Oh
that. Working with
man,
Matt and
I love the
Christy.
Evans, man.
Yeah,
They're incredible.
they're
They've
good
done
people. They
so much
really
for
are.
me. Yeah, they've done so much for me and helped me like get started in this industry, and really just gave me an opportunity.
They did real
Um,
well from what he was saying. Like they were like one of the top life people or something in
oh
the
my
country for like
gosh.
mortgage life or something.
Yeah, the mortgage-free life. And when I say like I hate doing life insurance, other than that,
Right.
I mean, because we're solving a huge problem
Yeah.
for people. We're able to, get someone to pay off their home in an average of 5 to 7 years and save them over 100,000 in interest. It's a game changer.
Matt's like a Houdini when it comes to coming up with different like tax advantages.
Yeah,
And he's talking about
he's the
like
man.
paying your kids to file paperwork for you or something. It's like, you're 5 years old, but you're not ready to go to work yet.
Right.
You can't get in there and file some papers.
Yeah, they're good
Um,
people. But yeah, they've done so much for me and really helped me get started in the industry for sure.
it's nice to hear, like I said, good people that are helping other people come up. And that's really what
Mhm.
this business is all about, or at least it was for me. I didn't have a real close family.
Mhm.
So the insurance family became my family. And it was like a never ending, just we got more family members coming in,
Yeah.
and it was like we would have these big Christmas parties and things.
Mhm.
And, it was always, it was nice. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
like I said, it filled a void for me personally. That's
Yeah.
why a lot of these people are like, like my sister or like my brothers or
Mhm.
whatever. I mean, like it can be like a big frat house there
Yeah.
in the agency. We
Mhm.
bust each other up like all the time.
Yeah. But
you
culture's
know
everything, man.
oh, we have a
Like,
good time.
yeah, that's cool.
We have a good time. I
That's
mean,
really cool.
so what is something that you're aiming for? Like what's the next move for you that you're like, what's your next goal? Like what's your next thing that you're trying to do?
So as far as business goes, man, to scale, I had a good year last year, wrote over $1 million in PNC insurance, which is
People don't know how big that is.
yeah,
That's a
on the
big deal.
PNC side,
One
that's
person.
yeah, that's pretty big. So, but now it's like, how do we scale and get multiple people doing that in our agency? So now we're putting people in place, getting, dialers and getting appointment setters so we can bring in people and really just putting the system, writing the system down. Right. And just laying,
Philippines too.
yeah.
Philippines.
Yeah. And then laying that system out and then, putting that play in place and just running the play. So yeah, this year is to scale, man. So to replicate myself, pull myself really out of working in the business and working on the business.
Yeah.
Getting to a point where, we can do the Panama City Beach vacations
Man.
every year, the Cancun vacations, and that's the next step. And to really create an incredible life for my family and leave a legacy for my kids, man.
Yeah, that's what this business can do for us. I would say that it's the building blocks, to like I was talking to a guy that I'm gonna be doing some marketing for. And, he was saying, I want to make $1 million this year, and he got real close last year. Like he was, I think at like 750 or something like that, which is still incredible money.
Hmm.
And he had said, I want to make $1 million this year. And I was like, well, one of the things that a lot of people don't realize is your book of business is an asset that can be used to catapult you. A lot of people think that you need to hang on to everything and you can utilize that to be able to loan against, to be able to grow.
Hmm.
And there's a certain cycle for these books of business. Like what we would do specifically, like it used to be back in the health insurance, what we would do is because we used to take like big advances and stuff, right?
Hmm.
So we
Right.
would limit the advances down. And what we would do is we would get that book to where it was paid down and then paid off. and then we would open up another book
Mm-hmm.
so where they could still get advances,
Leverage it.
but everything was still paying down. And like you were saying, if like the other one ran into trouble, we would do the same thing over again.
Mm-hmm.
And then we would use that book to loan against so that we could be able to go and achieve and get more, and then
Mm-hmm.
get another book that was in play. And you start stacking,
Mm-hmm.
and it becomes a way for you to start building again those piers, those foundations, to where you can start investing into other things. Health insurance, or excuse me, not health insurance. God, I'm talking about it. Insurance has been a fantastic business for
Incredible
myself and
vehicle.
my family, but we've made other investments outside of that that have really, really given us that net worth.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's what this is all about. It's not just about trying to teach somebody how to sell. And yeah, we came up with a great system and everything else,
Mm-hmm.
but it's about building and coaching and be able to say, hey, look, here's some of the resources. If you want to be able to, expand your portfolio to, start getting into some investment in real estate, or if you're wanting to, invest into, like tax savings, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We have trusted people. Matt's one of those trusted people.
Well, yeah,
Um,
network is your net worth,
right.
right? I mean,
He
and
knows
it's
everybody
he
too. Like
does. He
it's like
knows
he knows
every.
all the news. He's
Uh-huh.
like before it like even happens.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we used to have these guys in the sports betting business. That's a whole nother life, and I'll tell you that. But
Uh-huh.
we used to have these guys that would tip you off to
Mm-hmm.
different things that were happening. Be like, yeah, this guy left at practice limping off or
Mm-hmm.
something, and it wouldn't be reported, or it might be like, hey, he had a an accident at practice or something, and then be like, you need to get ahead of this and go and like
Mm-hmm.
put your money over on this team that was
Mm-hmm.
supposed to be the underdog, that they'll meet the spread because I don't know, Tom Brady blew his knee out or
Yeah.
something, and they're going to try and downplay it to where he just got a bruise or
Yeah.
contusion. But anyway, yeah, it's wild with
Mm-hmm.
that stuff. He knows so many different people and
Well, it's so
everything.
important to be connected, like in this industry, because there's so much BS in this industry, and you know that.
Yep.
So, getting in alignment with, people like, Christy and Matt, and then getting in alignment with you and, the Camperts, and like just being able to really just figure this thing out, because you got all of these different companies and people, reaching out that are trying to recruit you for their team.
Yeah.
Right. And then you get on their team and you realize that they're just trying to, sell you some leads. And next thing you know, that their leads really aren't what they say they're going to be. And then you're just, putting
I
money in their pockets, buying some leads, and you're not closing anything.
I give people
So,
guarantees in what we do and stuff. I'm like, I know that it's worked for me,
mm,
and I show them the success that has been had there. And, and I, like I said, I put guarantees behind it because, if we're not there helping and being a resource for people, there's no real point for like, what are we serving at that point?
right.
I don't make a ton of money in the marketing aspect of things, right? A lot of it goes toward making people's money work effectively for them, right? A lot of it goes like, just for instance, right? That's why I did like a deal that was like $6,000, and you would think that I made $6,000.
Hmm.
Nope. 3,500 of it went to setting up a pay-per-click campaign. 1,500 of it ended up going to where it was the freaking funnel building.
Hmm.
Yeah, there's $1,000 left over there stuff, but I got to pay my people,
Yeah. It's to work that. Yeah.
to work and make things happen. So for me, what it was it was very personal for me. It was something that I felt that needed to change in the industry, and I wanted to be the answer or the solution to people's problems. And that's really, again, that's where business is. When you're becoming solutions to people's problems, when you're answering to those calls, that I'm telling you, that's where it becomes, like you'll become wildly successful in that aspect of things. But dude, we're running a little short on time. Thank you for taking time out of your day to come in and visit with me and check out the podcast area and stuff.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, man.
yeah, we're glad to have it. I can't wait to see what you're going to do because you're killing it over here. So I'm glad to
I'm
have you
excited,
as a
man.
part of the team. Um, and yeah, I look forward to working with you, man.
Likewise,
Is
man.
there anything you can tell before we jump off here? Is there anything that you can tell agents maybe that are looking for something similar that you can tell them about, our system that would be beneficial for them? And then your
Yeah.
contact information, how to get in contact with you
Yeah.
for insurance reasons.
Yeah. So, I mean, you got to get involved with Select. I mean, it the PNC space is tough. Like I said, getting paid once a month is hard, especially off the get go. When you've been able to get paid every single week, and then not only get that, but you have your standard commission check too. It's a game changer for the cash flow for you to keep moving and propel the business and change the trajectory of really the way it could ever go before.
And the leads too, like
Yeah.
having the good quality leads and making sure that, that's on point as well. That
hmm
was a big thing that I wanted to make sure that people had.
Yeah, because when so if you come from the captive side to, the independent side, no one's calling you, right? They don't know who you are. So, having calls coming in immediately changes the game.
Well, people don't understand that too. Like that's the reason why a lot of people are uncomfortable to work on commission. Is because they don't have a pipeline, they don't have a
Right.
network. Well, when you have people that are all of a sudden they're calling you, and when you have people that they know exactly why, like the call or whatever is happening,
hmm
it's a different type
Absolute
of
game
approach. It's a
changer.
game changer. And then, like you were saying, we create a system where that person gets paid a lot faster,
Right.
so that because we need to get money into your pocket, because seeing is believing.
hmm
When you have that stuff and it starts coming into your pocket, well, it's a game changer there.
Right. And running an agency isn't cheap either. So,
Amen to that.
yeah.
Right? Yeah, I know all about that. So how do people get in touch with you?
Yeah, you can reach me on Facebook, Austin Tucker, Instagram, Tucker Austin 4. And best way to connect me, shoot me a DM. More than happy to chat.
Yeah. Man, again, I really appreciate you being on here. Thank you for, again, taking time out of your day to chat with us here.
Yeah, thanks
I
for
know you're going to
having
be
me again,
wildly
man.
successful, man. We're going to see to it.